All right, finally today, our forgotten teams in Philadelphia sports history. One team name, two teams here. Got a little special doubleheader here on a Sunday. First, and this is the Philadelphia Stars. The first Philadelphia Stars are the old Negro League team that were founded by Ed Bolden back in 1933. They played in the Negro National League till 1948, switched over to the Negro American League in 1952, and essentially played until there was not a need for the Negro Leagues anymore. Most of their seasons and their games were played down in West Philly, 44th and Parkside. There is a historical marker there now. There's a nice mural up. If you've ever been down, it's kind of the area below the, I guess it's below the zoo, near where the Police Touch Museum is, sort of that little quad triangle type thing. It's actually pretty cool. I've seen the historical marker. The mural looks beautiful. They did win a championship in 1934. They had players. We talked. Biz Mackey was one of those guys who went from team to team, but he is a Philly type guy. Played on a lot of these Philly teams. Satchel Paige played for the Philadelphia Stars at one point in his career as well. But the Philadelphia Stars, the old Negro League team, probably one of, at least in this area, probably the most popular Negro League team. They were probably the longest running. And a lot of times if you see folks wearing throwback to the Negro League teams, it's Philadelphia Stars. They are our first Philadelphia Stars that have been forgotten. The second is the USFL Philadelphia Stars, and not the last version here that were called the Philadelphia Stars and played in Detroit. The original Philadelphia Stars who played in Philly in 1983 and 1984. Hands down, one of the best teams in the USFL, coached by Jim Mora. Yes, the playoffs. Jim Mora. Sam Mills, Hall of Fame linebacker, played for the Stars. They lost the championship in 1983. They won it in 1984 before moving to Baltimore. And ironically enough, it was a weird time in Philly sports. I'll say it like that. And they ended up moving to Baltimore because Donald Trump, who owned the New York Generals, had this cockamamie idea that we should go up against the NFL. And ultimately, that was the downfall of the USFL. But Philly, the Stars, were one of the most popular teams in the USFL. And they were drawing consistent numbers and things like that. But they didn't have any place for them to play. They could have played at the Vet because they played on Saturdays. But because of the end of the Philly season, Phillies were coming off appearance in the World Series. So there was concern that the Stars couldn't play a home game until late November. Couldn't play at Franklin Field because Penn football played on Saturdays, and they couldn't play at JFK just because it was like 4 years from being condemned, and it just did not have the necessary amenities that they needed to have games there. Plus, it was a 100,000 seat stadium. It would have looked terrible because the Stars, I think, were averaging like 20, 30,000 people a game. You put that, it looks like a Temple game at the Link. So they moved to Baltimore. Ultimately, it was the end of the USFL. Ironically enough, though, the Stars were the one team that could have competed at the time in Philadelphia with the Eagles, believe it or not. Right around the time that all of this stuff was going down, Leonard Tost was trying to move the team to Arizona. And they would have been the perfect fit. People liked the Stars better than the Eagles back then. They were fed up with Tost. They were just fed up with the direction of the team and things like that. And the Eagles basically were in Phoenix. They had a deal and everything. And then somehow a newspaper reporter, kind of like Watergate-esque, leaked a report. And there were people that were camped out then, like fans going to Leonard Tost's house outside of Villanova. Like, it was a crazy, crazy time. But then it led to Tost making a deal with the city of Philadelphia. And because the Eagles were staying, it helped alleviate some of the impact of the Stars leaving as well. Now, on this day, back in 1984, that is when the deal was reached. Just kind of ironic how all of this kind of ties together. But the deal with the city for the Eagles to stay was reached on this day in 1984. All of that to say, the Philadelphia Stars from the USFL almost replaced the Eagles as the professional team in Philadelphia. But they are our forgotten team of the day. Our second forgotten team, the Philadelphia Stars of the old Negro League, champions in 1934, played their games at 44th and Parkside. On the